you. It's 2007. My partner Sunny and I have just bought out our business partners. Finally, our real estate business is completely ours. Sunny is grinning from ear to ear. It's her dream come true. I feel an uneasy pit in my stomach. I love the lifestyle, the income, the buzz of the office, and the team, but real estate is far from my passion. My passion is health and wellness. I've got my own buzzing boutique studio with a team of my own, and I can't help but wonder, how's Sunny going to manage this whole company by herself? At the end of January 2008, we had a record month. You couldn't fit the sales on the board. It was absolutely pumping. We had a celebration party, and I addressed the team and congratulated them on the outstanding job that they'd done. By February, it was as if somebody had flicked the switch on our party. You couldn't count the deals on one hand. Oh, it's just a slow month, we assured ourselves and the team. Next month will be better. Next month came, and the next, and the next, and the next. Some months we were struggling to even get one deal on the board. It was dismal. I hired a business coach who advised me to join the team as the sales manager. Apparently I do discipline quite well. I'm skilled at motivating people, except she didn't say that. She said I get people moving. And I'm not afraid of the tough jobs, getting people to move in other ways. And I'm sure I've got far more endearing qualities that are a lot more flattering than that, but they sure as hell weren't being talked about that day. I got this business coach so that I could keep my distance and keep doing what I loved. And I think it's fair to say that that idea backfired. Reluctantly, I stepped out from being a silent director and joined the team as their sales manager. Actually, I've got to be completely honest, it wasn't right. I went kicking and screaming. I reckon I cried for the first 6 months. And by that time, my studio wasn't going so well either. With me not working in the business or on the business, and the GFC really taking a hold, it was having a major impact on the business. So within 4 months, I shut the doors of my dreams. It was heartbreaking, but having 2 businesses hemorrhaging was just soul destroying. We went, finally another company approached us to buy our rent roll. Negotiations began. I actually forgot that I was negotiating on my own business, but negotiations began and a deal was made. And in 2 short years, we went from having this wonderful, extravagant lifestyle, where we took the family on European holidays, we saw the Lion King in Soho, Moulin Rouge in Paris, had birthday parties in Disneyland, to living off pasta, payment plans, and meetings with lawyers to wrap up our hopelessly insolvent company. Fast forward 10 years, I've picked myself up, dusted myself off, and reinvented myself. I established my workplace wellness practice, invested in heaps of personal development, and run multiple ultra marathons on trails. What I love doing most is going into organisations and helping them to develop a wellness strategy, to develop some healthy lifestyle habits, to combat unhealthy behaviours that lead to burnt out, stressed out, maxed out people. Because I've kind of been there. And over the years, I've come to realise that running a business or leadership is pretty much like running an ultra marathon on trails. You start out full of adrenaline and excitement at the opportunity and the adventure that's ahead, but maintaining your motivation and momentum can really test your endurance with the long hours, challenging conditions, feelings of isolation, and then finding that delicate balancing act of getting adequate rest and recovery to stay at peak performance. I'd like to share with you some of the things that I've learnt along the way, because there's been a few. Have a very clear vision of what it is that you want to achieve. and communicate that with your team. Ask yourself some big questions. Who will be the key people in helping me to get to my vision? What will it look like when I get there? Or we get there, is probably really what it is. And why is it important? Knowing your why is crucial to your success. It acts like a lighthouse that guides you towards your vision while reminding you to proceed with caution as you approach the rocky shores. Nothing is ever achieved alone, and having the right support crew is absolutely vital. It's like planning and mapping a running course and putting your support crew strategically in the places that you know that you're going to need them the most. And this support crew extends beyond the people in the workplace. There's coaches and mentors. I'm a workplace wellness expert and a coach, but I have my own coaches and several mentors. Why? Because they keep me focused and on track. They push me harder than I will ever push myself. And they point out my blind spots when I don't really want to be seeing them. I've also got a couple of running buddies, or accounting buddies, sorry, accountability buddies. My running buddy, I run with him, he was one I did my ultramarathon with. And then I've got like a life accountability buddy. He approached me, which I'm really, really grateful for. And what we do is we catch up online once a week, we set our plans for what we're going to do, and we reflect on the week that happened before. And it's fantastic because you're kind of telling somebody what you're doing. And then we also offer each other, it gives us a really good opportunity to focus on reflecting of our week. And we also give each other feedback on what we kind of see happening. So it gives us an opportunity to see things from a different perspective. And then there's other people. There's doctors, there's advisors, there's cleaners, there's your circle of friends. Word of note, your circle of friends, if you're the smartest person in the group, it might be time to get yourself a new group of friends. You can't run an ultra marathon and build executive endurance if you're not fueling your body with good, fresh, whole foods and hydrating yourself well, drinking at least 2 litres of water a day. Slowing the pace down and backing things off when fatigue and overwhelm starts to kick in, and breaking things down into smaller, more manageable chunks to keep you feeling fresh and focused when the obstacles and the challenges come in, because they do. When I ran my last ultramarathon, I've been on my feet for about 10 hours. We had a heap of storms that really eroded the beaches. We did it along the coast. And the uneven ground and the length of time being on my feet, my left muscle really started to cramp up in my left calf. And in the morning, as I was going up a hill that felt like it was never going to end, I could feel the muscle getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And then finally something gave. It wasn't serious, but it hurt like hell, and it really slowed me down. And just like the muscles in our bodies, if we keep pushing ourselves and going, sooner or later something gives, and we can't work at the same strength and stamina. And in running, especially on trails, there's all kinds of uneven terrain underfoot. You've constantly got to adjust how you run and what you do. If you kept running at the same pace and in the same way, you'd fall flat in your face. I've tried it plenty of times in a race. Approach your challenges with an open and inquisitive worldview and a willingness to adapt, because what's got you to one point isn't going to get you to the next. Invest in yourself, and if you've got a team, invest in them as well. The return on investment is incredible. Recent studies that were done by Dr. Lindsay McMillan showed that 57% of the working population isn't working at peak performance, and 39% experience high levels of stress often. So knowing that kind of information and the costs of presenteeism when people turn up to work but they're not performing at their best, that's actually 10 times the cost of absenteeism. So it's really important to get some wellness into your workplace to lift those scores up a little bit. And if you look at our health stats, it helps us to understand a little bit why those figures are the way they are. Because 96% of the population isn't eating the correct amount of vegetables in their day. Most of us are drinking too much alcohol, and 63% are either overweight or obese. In endurance events, there's a term called hitting the wall. It's horrible. It's a point where you just feel so fatigued and so overwhelmed, you don't think that you can go any further. It's horrible. In endurance events, it's usually around the 3/4 length mark, but it can happen anywhere. I've hit the wall in both business and on trails more than once. And I can tell you, there's not a lot of difference between the two of them. Except in endurance events or sporting events, it's kind of justified. You've travelled a long way. But in business, that distance travelled isn't so obvious. And we've talked about it already today, it's not acceptable. So when we start to hit the wall, we hide it. Or we think it's going to pass, or it tells us we've got to push through, or we're weak, or whatever else, until finally something will happen where we might get sick, or breakdowns occur, and we're forced to change how we do things. I hit the wall when I ran that ultramarathon. It was after I'd injured myself. I'd been on my feet for 18 hours, had travelled more than 100 kilometres, and I just couldn't see how I was going to do the next 24 kilometres by myself. I got to the next checkpoint, and I was running with, two of us did the run, my running buddy was there, and I told him to go on without me, because I didn't want the pressure of holding him up, and I didn't want him in my ear, because I was making noises of quitting, and I just wanted him to go. And I sat in the front of my car, looking out to the ocean. My legs were so unbelievably tight, it wasn't funny. My mind was foggy with exhaustion, and I was completely irrational. Fighting back tears, actually no, let's be honest, I was crying. I started to think about what it would be like if I stopped and I quit there and then. And then I started to feel what that would feel like. Not just in that moment, in 1 month's time, in 6 months' time, 12 months' time, 5 years' time. And that felt way more painful than whatever I had to do to finish that run. I already felt like a failure in other areas of my life, and I sure as hell wasn't going to fail this. My partner Sonny knew I was struggling. Oh, come on, everybody knew I was struggling. It was obvious, right? Some of our running buddies came to meet us, and she had a chat to them, and one kind-hearted man, Ben, offered to run the last 24 kilometres with me. It gave me confidence to finish the run. To conquer what seems like the impossible, it's really important to step back, take some time to reflect, look at the bigger picture, and allow others to help. But then there's also knowing when to pull out and when to push forward. Back in the boom, we were offered an incredibly good offer on our business. Now, I wasn't emotionally attached to that business, and if I had my way, we would have grabbed that offer with both hands and run. You know how we get that feeling and we can't always explain why we've got it? We've had it and we sort of go, oh, if I only listened to my gut instinct. Has anyone in the room had that? Yes? No? You've got a few nods out there? Learn to trust it. It will never steer you wrong and saves you a lot of time and stress. Now, I wouldn't trade the injuries, the blisters, the bruised and battered ego from falling flat on my face in business and on trails for anything in the world. It's led me to where I am today. I'm totally grateful for that experience. But I wouldn't be human if I didn't say that there's a little part of me that kind of goes, I wonder what that sliding door moment would have looked like in my life. Debt-free, insolvency. And I'd like to just run through the 3 steps of self-leadership, because we can't lead others if we can't lead ourselves. And the first one is self-awareness. Developing a deep sense of self-awareness is the cornerstone to self-leadership. Just take a moment to think about the worst leader you've ever had or experienced. What did that person do, not do, or say for you to dislike their style? And now think about the best leader you've ever had. What did that person do for you to like and trust them? And while holding those 2 people in your mind's eye, how does your leadership style and your behaviours and your actions compare? And just check in and get awareness around the way that you're thinking, you're breathing, you're moving, how you're showing up in the world, how you're taking care of yourself, what triggers you, what drains your energy, and what energises you. Also think about your mindset. Are your thoughts negative or positive? Is your language pessimistic or optimistic? Self-reflection. At the end of the day and in challenging situations, ask yourself a series of questions. What did my team and I achieve today? What went well? Often we focus on what doesn't go well. Try and think about the things that went well. And what can I do to be better, to improve? And then there's self-care, my big one. We can't effectively lead others if we're burnt out, stressed out, and maxed out through not taking care of ourselves. So check in with yourself and ask, am I taking time out for me? Am I taking time to fill my cup? If you have a scale of 1 feeling blah and 10 feeling fantastic, where's my energy levels? Are you nourishing your body with healthy foods, hydrating it, moving daily, spending time for stillness and silence? There's fantastic research out there that if you're into meditation or just finding that stillness, that just by doing that, it decreases your stress levels, it improves your focus, and it can also help you to sleep. There's all sorts of other wonderful benefits, so learning the practice of self-care and meditation is vital. Sometimes by spelling this as well. So what would be one really small thing that you could do as a result of today that would move one section of your wheel out just a little bit? And often when we're trying to make changes in our lives, we get a bit excited, we go, I'm going to change everything, and we end up changing nothing. So what I invite and encourage people to do is to reduce it to the ridiculous. Think about the most simple thing that you could do that might start to move that wheel out a little bit more so for you. Now, when we're not working at our peak or operating at our peak, it sneaks through the cracks of everything that we say and everything we do. We often think it covers, we can cover it up, but it doesn't. It sort of slips its way through. And to quote Buddha, endurance is one of the most difficult disciplines to obtain, but it is to the one who endures that final victory comes. Have you got what it takes to step up and keep up?